Could Hollywood's darkest secrets be hiding in plain sight? Do some celebrity deaths contain more questions than answers? When the spotlight fades, what mysteries remain? Number 1. Marilyn Monroe, the original Hollywood mystery. The phone rang in the early morning hours of August 5, 1962. Marilyn Monroe, Hollywood's brightest star, was found dead in her Brentwood home at just 36 years old. Her body was discovered face down on her bed, one hand clutching a telephone. Empty prescription bottles littered her nightstand. The official cause, acute barbiturate poisoning, a probable suicide. But the circumstances surrounding her death raised immediate questions. No water glass was found to help swallow the pills. No suicide note was ever discovered. Her housekeeper's story changed multiple times. Phone records from that night mysteriously disappeared. Her diary, which friends claimed she wrote in religiously, vanished without a trace. Monroe had recently been fired, then rehired on her final, unfinished film, Something's Got to Give. She had just purchased a new home and had plans for the following day. Many close to her reported she sounded upbeat during phone calls on her final day. Then there were her connections to powerful men. Her relationships with both President John F. Kennedy and his brother Robert Kennedy have been well documented. Some conspiracy theories suggest her death might have been linked to these relationships and what she might have known about government secrets. Her death scene itself contained peculiar elements. The positioning of her body seemed staged. Bruising that didn't match the suicide narrative. Missing time in the discovery of her body. Dr. Thomas Noguchi, who performed the autopsy, later admitted he wasn't allowed to examine her full body cavity and was prevented from testing certain organs. Decades later, Monroe's death remains the template for Hollywood mysteries, beautiful, tragic, and filled with unanswered questions that seem straight from a noir screenplay. Number 2. Natalie Wood, The Night the Sea Took a Star. The yacht was named Splendor. The night was cold and dark, November 29, 1981. Three famous people, actor Robert Wagner, actor Christopher Walken, and actress Natalie Wood, were spending Thanksgiving weekend cruising near Catalina Island. By morning, one would be dead. Natalie Wood, the stunning star of Rebel Without a Cause and West Side Story, somehow ended up in the Pacific Ocean that night, her body later found floating face down, dressed in a nightgown, socks, and a down jacket. The official ruling, accidental drowning. But the circumstances never quite added up. Wood was famously terrified of dark water, a phobia so severe she rarely entered the ocean. She had once told a friend, "I'm afraid of water that's dark and deep." The three celebrities had been drinking heavily that evening. Witnesses on nearby boats reported hearing angry shouting from the Splendor. The yacht's captain, Dennis Davern, later claimed Wood and Wagner had a fierce argument before her disappearance. He alleged Wagner was jealous of Wood's relationship with Walken. When Wood was discovered missing, the search was peculiarly delayed. The dinghy from the yacht was also missing, though it was later found beached nearby. Wood's body had bruises that some experts felt were inconsistent with merely falling overboard and drowning. In 2011, the captain changed his story dramatically, claiming Wagner was responsible for Wood's death. This led authorities to reopen the investigation and eventually change the cause of death on Wood's certificate from accidental drowning to drowning and other undetermined factors. Robert Wagner, now in his 90s, has consistently denied any involvement in his wife's death. He claims he thought she had taken the dinghy ashore herself, explaining why he wasn't immediately alarmed by her absence. When questioned by investigators after the case was reopened, he refused to speak with them. The ocean keeps its secrets well, and that night on the Splendor remains one of Hollywood's most enduring mysteries. Number 3. George Reeves, the Superman who couldn't fly. It was a house party that ended in tragedy, June 16, 1959. Actor George Reeves, famous for playing Superman in the 1950s television series, was found dead from a gunshot wound to the head in his Benedict Canyon home. The official ruling, suicide. But for a man who played the Man of Steel, many aspects of his death seemed suspiciously weak. Reeves was found naked in his bedroom upstairs while a party continued downstairs. The guests, including his fiancée Leonore Lemon, reportedly waited nearly an hour before calling police after hearing the gunshot. When police arrived, they found Reeves' body with a single bullet wound to his head. The gun was found between his feet on the floor, an unusual position for a suicide. Even more strange, there were no fingerprints on the gun, not even Reeves' own. No gunpowder residue was found on his hands, standard evidence in self-inflicted gunshot cases. The timing made little sense for a man planning to end his life. Reeves had just announced his engagement to Lemon. He had booked a match in Australia where he planned to wrestle professionally. He had meetings scheduled for the following week about directing a motion picture in Spain. Then there was the complicated love triangle. Reeves had been involved in a long-term relationship with Toni Mannix, wife of MGM studio executive Eddie Mannix. Eddie was known to have mob connections, and some theories suggest Reeves' death might have been a hit arranged by the jealous husband. Toni herself was reportedly devastated when Reeves left her for the younger Lemon. Adding to the mystery, bullet holes were discovered in the bedroom floor, suggesting previous gunshots that night that were never explained. Witness statements contained contradictions about the sequence of events and who was where during the critical moments. The case inspired the 2006 film Hollywoodland, with Ben Affleck playing Reeves, exploring the various theories surrounding his death. Superman may have been faster than a speeding bullet, but George Reeves couldn't escape the one that ended his life, or the questions that have persisted for decades about how that bullet came to be fired. Number 4. Bob Crane, the Hogan's hero with dark secrets. The bludgeoned body was discovered on June 29, 1978, in a Scottsdale, Arizona apartment. Bob Crane, the charming star of the popular 1960s sitcom Hogan's Heroes, was found lying in his bed, beaten to death with a blunt object that was never recovered. An electrical cord was tied around his neck. The brutal murder wasn't the only shocking revelation. As investigators dug deeper into Crane's life, they discovered a hidden side to the beloved TV star. Crane had developed an obsession with photographing and videotaping his sexual encounters with numerous women, building an extensive collection of homemade pornography. His constant companion in these activities was John Henry Carpenter, a video equipment salesman who supplied Crane with the latest technology for his secret hobby. The two would frequent bars together, using Crane's celebrity status to attract women. But their friendship had reportedly soured in the days before Crane's murder. Witnesses claimed they'd seen the men arguing. When investigators searched Carpenter's car, they found blood traces that matched Crane's rare blood type. However, DNA testing wasn't available in 1978, and the blood evidence was deemed inconclusive. Nearly 15 years after the murder, in 1992, Carpenter was finally arrested and charged with Crane's murder. Prosecutors argued he killed Crane out of anger over being excluded from the actor's life. Yet the trial ended with Carpenter's acquittal due to lack of definitive evidence. The case remained cold until 2016, when investigators retested a DNA sample from the original crime scene with modern technology. The results were inconclusive. Carpenter died in 1998, taking any knowledge of what happened that night to his grave. Crane's murder and the revelations about his double life shocked America. The man who had made families laugh as the clever POW camp leader Colonel Hogan had been living a secret life that eventually may have led to his death. His story was later dramatized in the 2002 film Auto Focus, starring Greg Kinnear, which explored the dark underbelly of fame and obsession. Number 5. Thelma Todd, the Ice Cream Blonde's Cold Case. Monday morning, December 16, 1935. A maid discovered a body slumped over the steering wheel of a luxury Packard convertible inside a garage. It was Thelma Todd, the 29-year-old comedic actress known as the Ice Cream Blonde, who had starred alongside the Marx Brothers in Laurel and Hardy. Carbon monoxide poisoning was determined as the cause of death. The garage belonged to Todd, located near the seaside restaurant she owned in Pacific Palisades. The case was quickly ruled a suicide, but the circumstances raised immediate suspicions. Todd was found wearing a full-length mink coat and evening dress. She had attended a party the previous Saturday night at the famous Trocadero nightclub and was seen in good spirits. Her body wasn't discovered until Monday, creating a mysterious timeline gap. The garage door was closed but unlocked. Todd's body showed signs of trauma, blood on her face and bruises on her throat that seemed inconsistent with simple carbon monoxide poisoning. Her friends insisted she would never take her own life, especially not in her beloved, expensive car. Todd's romantic life provided plenty of potential motives. She had recently divorced Pasquale Pat Di Sicco, a man with alleged mob connections who had reportedly been physically abusive. She was also involved with director Roland West, whose wife, actress Jewel Carmen, was reportedly jealous of their relationship. Then there were the business complications. Todd's restaurant, Thelma Todd's Sidewalk Cafe, was a popular Hollywood spot rumored to host illegal gambling on its upper floors. Some theorized that Todd had refused to allow local mobsters to use her restaurant for their operations, making her a target. The grand jury investigation produced conflicting testimonies. Some witnesses claimed to have seen Todd alive on Sunday, contradicting the medical examiner's time of death estimate. Roland West later reportedly confessed on his deathbed to locking Todd in the garage as punishment after an argument, not realizing the deadly consequences. No one was ever charged in connection with her death. The beautiful blonde comedian who had brightened the silver screen during Hollywood's golden age became another footnote in the city's dark history of unsolved mysteries. Number 6. David Carradine, death in Bangkok. The housekeeping staff at the Swissotel Nai Lert Park Hotel in Bangkok made a grim discovery on June 3, 2009. David Carradine, the 72-year-old star of Kung Fu and Kill Bill, was found dead in his hotel room closet. His body was hanging by a rope, with another rope tied around his genitals. Thai authorities quickly ruled the death as accidental asphyxiation, suggesting it resulted from a solo sex act gone wrong, a practice known as autoerotic asphyxiation. But Carradine's family immediately questioned this conclusion, suggesting foul play might have been involved. The circumstances were undeniably strange. Carradine was in Thailand shooting a film called Stretch. He had missed a dinner with the crew the previous night. His hands were bound above his head, which some experts noted would be difficult to accomplish alone. His family hired forensic experts who determined the actor couldn't have tied the knots himself. They pointed to a mysterious, second person's DNA found at the scene. Adding to the suspicion, Carradine had mentioned in past interviews that he believed he was being followed and had discovered surveillance equipment in his home. Some conspiracy theories connected his death to his reported investigations into martial arts secret societies. In his autobiography, Carradine had written about his interest in secret martial arts groups and their hidden knowledge. Photos of the death scene were leaked to a Thai newspaper, adding a macabre public element to the already sensational case. The FBI offered assistance to Thai authorities but was limited in what they could investigate in a foreign country. The case eventually faded from headlines without clear resolution. The official ruling remained accidental death despite the family's continued insistence that the evidence pointed to murder. The truth of what happened in that Bangkok hotel room remains elusive, much like the enigmatic characters Carradine played throughout his long career. Number 7. Albert Decker, the congressman's bizarre end. The landlord had to use a key to enter the bathroom. It had been locked from the inside. What he found on May 5, 1968, was a scene so bizarre it defied immediate explanation. Albert Decker, the distinguished character actor and former California state assemblyman, was hanging from a shower curtain rod. But this was no ordinary suicide, if it was a suicide at all. Decker's body was naked, handcuffed, bound with leather belts, with a ball gag in his mouth and blindfolded. Obscene words were written all over his body in red lipstick. A hypodermic needle was stuck in one arm. The official ruling was accidental death by autoerotic asphyxiation. Yet the elaborate nature of the scene raised immediate questions. How could someone bind themselves so thoroughly alone? Nothing appeared to be stolen from the apartment, ruling out robbery gone wrong. Decker, 62 at the time of his death, had enjoyed a long career in both politics and film. He served as a Democratic member of the California State Assembly from 1945 to 1947 and appeared in films like East of Eden and The Wild Bunch. His political career had ended after he took a stand against McCarthyism and the House Un-American Activities Committee. Contributing to the mystery, Decker had recently become engaged and seemed happy in his personal life. He had just completed filming on The Wild Bunch and had more work lined up. Friends described him as being in good spirits. Some theories suggested Decker might have had enemies from his political days, when he had openly opposed organized crime's influence in Hollywood and politics. Others wondered if his death might have been a warning to others in Hollywood with similar political leanings. The bathroom had been locked from the inside, however, which complicated any murder theory. No conclusive evidence of another person's presence was ever established, leaving Decker's death as one of Hollywood's most bizarre unsolved mysteries. Number 8. Johnny Stompanato, the gangster, the star, and her daughter. The scream echoed through the Beverly Hills mansion on Good Friday, April 4, 1958. Inside, film goddess Lana Turner's boyfriend, mobster Johnny Stompanato, lay bleeding to death from a stab wound to his stomach. Holding the knife was Turner's 14-year-old daughter, Cheryl Crane. The official story, which became the legal finding, Stompanato had been abusing Turner. When the argument turned violent, Cheryl grabbed a kitchen knife and stabbed him to protect her mother. The killing was ruled justifiable homicide. But Hollywood whispered other possibilities. Stompanato was no ordinary boyfriend. He was a former bodyguard for gangster Mickey Cohen with his own criminal record. His relationship with Turner had been volatile and publicly abusive. Some theorized that Turner herself had actually stabbed Stompanato during their fight, and Cheryl had taken the blame knowing a juvenile would face less severe consequences. Others suggested the killing was planned because Stompanato knew too much about Cohen's criminal operations and Turner's connections to them. The case captured America's attention. Here was one of Hollywood's most beautiful stars, Lana Turner, whose own life suddenly resembled the melodramas she starred in. The trial became a media circus, with Cheryl's testimony moving many to tears as she described years of watching her mother suffer abuse. Mickey Cohen publicly threatened revenge for his friend's death and paid for Stompanato's funeral. He later auctioned off the love letters between Turner and Stompanato, further sensationalizing the case. In her 1982 autobiography, Turner maintained that her daughter had indeed killed Stompanato to protect her. Cheryl Crane herself released a memoir in 1988 standing by the original story. Yet the questions have persisted about what really happened that night in Beverly Hills, when Hollywood royalty and organized crime collided with deadly results. Number 9. Brittany Murphy, a star dimmed too soon. The 911 call came on the morning of December 20, 2009. She's not breathing. Brittany Murphy, the vivacious 32-year-old star of Clueless and 8 Mile, had collapsed in her bathroom. Despite being rushed to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, she was pronounced dead. The cause: pneumonia, anemia, and multiple drug intoxication from prescription and over-the-counter medications. That might have been the end of the story, a sad but straightforward celebrity death. Then, 5 months later, Murphy's husband Simon Monjack was found dead in the same house, in the same bedroom, reportedly from the same causes: acute pneumonia and severe anemia. The statistical improbability of 2 young people dying of identical rare complications months apart sent conspiracy theories swirling. Murphy's father, Angelo Bertolotti, became convinced his daughter and son-in-law had been poisoned. He commissioned independent toxicology tests that he claimed showed heavy metal poisoning consistent with rat poison. Others pointed to the deteriorating condition of the couple's Hollywood Hills mansion. Could toxic mold have played a role in their respiratory illnesses? The Los Angeles County Coroner's Office disputed these theories, standing by their original findings. Further complicating matters was Murphy's mother, Sharon, who had been living with the couple and was present during both medical emergencies. Some questioned why she didn't seek medical help sooner in either case. Murphy had shown signs of trouble before her death. Her appearance had changed dramatically, with significant weight loss. Her behavior on film sets had reportedly become erratic. Former co-stars described instances of apparent drug use and paranoia. The week before her death, Murphy was fired from her last film, The Caller, with rumors of difficult on-set behavior. She told reporters she had lost the role due to creative differences. After her death, stories emerged about Monjack's mysterious past, including allegations of credit card fraud, expired visas, and abandoned children from previous relationships. Some suggested he may have been controlling Murphy's medications or feeding her paranoia about being followed by government agencies. The case remains officially closed, yet the identical deaths continue to raise questions among those who remember the bubbly actress whose light was extinguished far too soon. Number 10. William Desmond Taylor, the murder that changed Hollywood. The body was discovered on the morning of February 2, 1922. William Desmond Taylor, one of Hollywood's most successful film directors, lay dead on the floor of his bungalow at the Alvarado Court Apartments. He had been shot once in the back. What followed was perhaps the first great Hollywood scandal, a case so shocking and filled with glamorous suspects that it permanently altered the film industry's relationship with the American public. Taylor's murder scene was compromised from the start. When his body was discovered, the first people called weren't the police but executives from Paramount Studios, where Taylor worked. Before authorities arrived, these executives removed items from Taylor's home, possibly including love letters and other compromising materials. The list of suspects read like a who's who of early Hollywood. There was Mabel Normand, the beloved comedic actress who was the last known person to see Taylor alive. She had visited him that evening to pick up a book he had bought for her. Though she was never formally suspected, her career never recovered from the scandal. Then there was Mary Miles Minter, a 19-year-old starlet who had a well-known infatuation with the 49-year-old director. Police found her love letters and a nightgown in his bungalow. Her domineering mother, Charlotte Shelby, became a prime suspect when it was discovered she owned a rare caliber gun that matched the murder weapon. Taylor's valet, Edward Sands, had a criminal past and had disappeared after embezzling from Taylor. Could he have returned for revenge? Or was it Taylor's recently discovered brother, Denny's Dean Tanner, who had abandoned his own family years earlier, just as Taylor had once done? The investigation revealed Taylor's life was far more complicated than his public image suggested. Born William Cunningham Dean Tanner in Ireland, he had reinvented himself completely after abandoning his wife and daughter in New York. Few in Hollywood knew anything about his past life. Despite one of the most intensive investigations in Los Angeles history, no one was ever charged with Taylor's murder. The case was so scandalous that it contributed to Hollywood establishing the Hays Code, a set of moral guidelines that would restrict film content for decades. Nearly a century later, Taylor's murder remains unsolved, the original Hollywood noir mystery that foreshadowed the dark underbelly beneath the glittering surface of fame. Is the truth about these deaths hidden somewhere in plain sight? Did these stars take their real secrets to the grave? Or will Hollywood's darkest mysteries eventually come to light?